The galaxy was wide, endless, and filled with countless stars, yet the blue jewel once called Earth no longer shined as it had before. Long ago, Earth had been a world of voices, lights, and endless activity. Billions of humans had lived on its surface, building cities that touched the sky and machines that traveled beyond the stars. But now Earth was silent. No ships left its orbit. No lights glowed in its great cities. Only ruins remained, covered by dust and time. For centuries, alien civilizations had watched from a distance. They had observed Earth's rise and fall. They had seen humanity fight great wars, both on their own planet and in the space around it. They had seen the smoke of destruction, the storms of fire, and the slow collapse of oceans and forests. To many it seemed clear. Humanity had destroyed itself. The Terran species, as they were once called in the Council of Stars, had burned too brightly, too quickly, and then vanished. Among the alien powers, there was little respect left for humans. The Zir, an insectoid empire that spread across 7 systems, laughed whenever Earth was mentioned. The Orcs, tall crystalline beings with minds linked to energy fields, spoke of humans as a warning of chaos. Even the peaceful Toral, who recorded the history of many species, described humans as tragic dreamers. And so, when Earth finally became still and empty, the galaxy forgot about it. A few explorers visited in the early centuries after the silence, but they found only empty cities and shattered machines. The air was thick with dust and the seas were polluted. No human answered their calls. Soon, the stars themselves stopped caring. But time always brings curiosity back. A coalition of alien empires, small powers working together, decided to return to Earth. They did not come for history or for memory. They came for resources. The planet was rich in metals, minerals, and ancient technology buried deep beneath its surface. Its oceans, though poisoned, held traces of rare elements. And its land, though scarred, was still valuable. The Coalition's fleet entered the solar system quietly, their silver ships gliding past the old satellites that still circled Earth like broken bones. These satellites were silent, cracked open by time, their signals long gone. The fleet saw nothing to fear. Primitive remains, one commander said with a hiss. His species, the Ralkar, had eyes like burning coals and voices like stone scraping on stone. A dead world. Nothing more. The fleet descended. On Earth's surface, massive drilling machines were lowered onto the ground. They bit into the Earth searching for metals. Others scanned the ruins of cities, looking for lost technologies that could be sold or copied. To the aliens, it was like opening an old chest filled with treasure. To them, humans were not people anymore, only shadows of the past. But not everyone agreed. Among the explorers was a young Orc scholar named Veyar. His crystalline body glowed with faint blue light as he walked among the ruins. Unlike the others, he did not look at Earth with greed. He felt something strange as he passed through the broken streets of an ancient city. Tall towers leaned against one another. Their glass cracked, their steel bent, but there was still a feeling of strength in them. Strange, Veyar whispered in his melodic voice. They built so much, and lost it so quickly. His commander dismissed him. Do not waste your thoughts on ghosts. Humans are gone. The galaxy belongs to those who endure, not those who destroy themselves. But as the days passed, unease began to grow. Deep beneath the crust, scanners picked up something unusual. At first it seemed like only static, a strange echo bouncing across layers of stone, but when the signal was cleaned and amplified, the truth emerged. It was a transmission. The sound was weak, broken by centuries of interference. It repeated in an endless loop. The alien engineers worked together, filtering noise and repairing lost data. Slowly the words grew clear, and then, in a language that had not been spoken aloud for hundreds of years, they heard the human voice. You've just made the greatest mistake of your lives. The room fell silent. No one spoke for several seconds. The engineers exchanged glances, unsure if their machines had made an error. But the voice repeated, calm, steady, filled with a strange kind of warning. You've just made the greatest mistake of your lives. The words carried no anger. They were not a shout. Instead, they were quiet, certain, almost cold. The alien commander growled. This is a trick. A recording. Nothing more. It means nothing, but young Veyar disagreed. His glowing form flickered with nervous energy. Commander, consider this. Why would such a message be hidden so deep beneath the ground? It was not random. It was placed here for someone to find. For us to find, the commander dismissed him again. Yet the signal spread. The transmission was picked up by ships across the fleet, and then by listening stations in nearby systems. Within weeks, whispers began across the galaxy. The humans had left a message. What did it mean? Was it simply a threat left behind? A final curse from a fallen race? Or was it something more? The coalition debated fiercely. Some argued to continue stripping Earth. Others began to grow cautious, suggesting that they leave at once. But greed is a powerful chain. The metals were rich, the ruins were full of knowledge, and the dead world seemed harmless. Still, unease lingered. The message repeated in their minds, a steady rhythm like the beating of a heart. You've just made the greatest mistake of your lives. And far beyond, in the empty silence between stars, something stirred. The ruins of Earth were not as empty as the galaxy believed. The dust covered many things, but not everything. Buried deeper than any alien drill had yet reached, there were structures that hummed with hidden power. Systems slept in silence, waiting. Machines rested in stillness, waiting. And the signal was not simply a warning. It was also a key. The coalition had unlocked something older, something far more dangerous than they could imagine. Earth had been quiet, yes, but Earth was not finished. The storm was only beginning. The alien coalition remained on Earth, their ships spread across the planet like silent watchers. From orbit, the world looked broken. Gray clouds swirled above ruined cities, oceans carried strange colors, and deserts stretched wider than they ever had before. Yet despite its scars, the planet still seemed alive in some strange way, as if it was holding a secret. The strange signal continued to play, repeating its chilling words again and again. You've just made the greatest mistake of your lives. It echoed across their comm systems, constant and unavoidable, until many engineers shut off their receivers out of fear. But even then, the words stayed in their thoughts. Some of the commanders laughed at the message. To them, it was only the last cry of a dying race. But others began to feel uneasy. If the humans were truly gone, why had they left such a message? Why had they hidden it so deep, buried far below the surface where no one should have found it? The coalition called a meeting on their largest ship. Commanders of different species gathered in a great circular chamber, each speaking in turn. Holograms of Earth rotated above them, glowing faintly. The Ralkar commander struck the floor with his claw. This is nothing but a trick. Humans were reckless fools. They burned their world. We will not be frightened by a message left centuries ago. But the Orc scholar Vaer, who had found the ruins earlier, stood firm. His crystalline body glowed brighter than usual. Commanders, you speak as if humans were weak. But history shows something else. Every time humans faced destruction, they adapted. Every time they were beaten down, they rose again. Even their wars, terrible as they were, only made them more determined. Can you not see? This message may not be a warning of the past, it may be a signal for the future. The council chamber fell silent. Some scoffed at him, while others exchanged nervous glances. The thought was dangerous. What if humans were not truly gone? To answer their doubts, the coalition ordered more searches. Teams were sent deep into the ruins of old cities. They searched through libraries, computer cores, and collapsed bunkers. What they found shocked them. The ruins held fragments of human history. Old recordings, images, and writings that had survived in hidden places. Some showed human inventions, flying machines, satellites, weapons, and even art. Others told stories of their wars and their victories. Again and again, the same pattern appeared. Humans suffered, but humans endured. One recording showed a group of humans on a burning battlefield, their uniforms torn and their weapons broken. Yet they kept fighting, moving forward despite overwhelming odds. Another showed explorers landing on distant moons, planting their flags with determination in their eyes. The aliens began to whisper among themselves. Are these not the signs of a strong people? One asked quietly. Strong, yes, but foolish, another replied. Their strength only destroyed them in the end. Still, the unease grew. Young Vaer collected as many of these records as he could. He studied them carefully, connecting events, searching for patterns. The more he learned, the more convinced he became that the humans had not simply disappeared. There was something in their history that spoke of unfinished plans. But then, something even stranger happened. The hidden signal from beneath Earth's surface began to change. At first it had repeated the same words again and again, but now fragments of new sounds appeared. Broken pieces of code, static, and then small bursts of data. The engineers tried to translate it, but the message was complex, built with layers of meaning. It is not only a voice, Veyar realized. It is a key. A program, something waiting to be unlocked. This discovery shook the coalition. The commanders argued fiercely. Some demanded that they shut it down immediately, destroy the signal and continue harvesting. Others wanted to study it more. But greed won the argument. The resources of Earth were too valuable, and the commanders did not want to leave empty-handed. So the digging continued. As machines drilled deeper into the Earth, strange events began to occur. In one ruined city, a group of aliens found old machines that suddenly came to life. Their lights flickered, their engines roared, and they began to move. The explorers fled as the machines activated defensive systems, firing beams of energy into the sky. They were not random wrecks, they were guardians waiting for someone to awaken them. In another part of the world, an alien team uncovered a library that still glowed with power. Holograms lit up, showing humans speaking directly into the air, their voices calm but filled with warning. The aliens could not understand every word, but the tone was clear. Humans had known their world might fall, and they had prepared for it. Fear spread among the coalition ranks. The commanders tried to hide these events from their soldiers, but rumors traveled fast. Whispers moved through the camps. The humans are not gone. The humans are waiting. Veyar felt both awe and dread. He remembered the human message, the one still echoing across the galaxy. You've just made the greatest mistake of your lives. He could not stop thinking about it. What if it was true? What if they had indeed made a mistake by coming here? The other commanders refused to believe. They mocked the fear, calling it weakness. But still, they could not silence the unease in their own hearts. Then came the final discovery that shook them all. Beneath the ruins of an ancient mountain base, the coalition uncovered stasis pods, hundreds of them. At first, they thought they had found the last humans sleeping in the dark. The pods were cracked and empty, but their system still glowed faintly, showing signs that they had once held life. They lived here, one commander said in disbelief. They hid here. But where are they now? Veyar asked softly. No one had the answer. The discovery of the empty pods spread panic. If the humans had not died here, then they had left. And if they had left, where were they now? Across the galaxy, the whispers grew louder. The signal from Earth was no longer seen as a curse of the past. It was now seen as a warning for the present. Civilizations far away began to prepare, unsure of what was coming. Some even sent messages to the coalition, begging them to leave Earth before it was too late. But the coalition had already gone too far. They had awakened machines, disturbed records, and uncovered the truth of the stasis pods. Whether they admitted it or not, they had stirred the ghosts of a fallen world. And though Earth seemed broken and silent, a storm was rising. Somewhere beyond the stars, humanity was listening. Somewhere in the dark, they were preparing. The aliens had come searching for treasure, but what they had found was far more dangerous. The ghosts of Earth were not finished. The drilling machines continued their work, tearing into Earth's crust like hungry insects. To the alien commanders, the warning signals and the empty stasis pods were troubling, but not enough to stop their mission. They believed fear was weakness, and greed still pulled them deeper into the planet's scars. But Earth was not as empty as they thought. The first true awakening happened in the ruins of an ancient military bunker. The alien workers uncovered large metal doors buried under stone. They cut them open with plasma torches, laughing at the thought of primitive human fortresses. But as the doors cracked apart, alarms echoed through the tunnels, alarms that had not sounded in centuries. Inside, machines stirred. Rows of drones rose from their resting places, their eyes glowing with red light. Their armor was scarred from old battles, yet their movements were sharp and precise. Without hesitation, they attacked the intruders. Energy bolts flashed through the dust-filled air. The alien workers scattered in panic, calling for reinforcements. More drones poured from the shadows, moving in coordinated formations as if following invisible orders. The coalition sent soldiers to fight back. They had advanced weapons, shields, and armor far beyond human technology of centuries past. Yet the drones fought with strange intelligence. They studied every move, adapting quickly. One alien squad tried to flank them, but the drones predicted the move and trapped them in crossfire. Another squad tried to disable the machines with electromagnetic pulses, but the drones shifted frequencies and kept fighting. The aliens managed to destroy some, but it was not easy. For every drone they destroyed, more seemed to awaken from the darkness below. When the battle finally ended, the ruins were filled with broken metal and shattered alien armor. Hundreds of aliens had fallen, and the machines had vanished back into the earth. The commanders were furious. "They're only machines," one shouted. "Old relics, no match for us." But in private, many were shaken. These drones were centuries old, yet they had fought as if guided by human minds. It was not random. It was not simple programming. It was defense. Veyar, the young Orc scholar, studied the wreckage. He touched the broken pieces, his crystalline fingers glowing faintly. "These machines, they think. They learn." They were waiting. The commander dismissed him. "Waiting for what?" Veyar's voice was soft, almost fearful. "Waiting for us. Waiting for anyone foolish enough to disturb them." The next awakening was even stranger. In another ruined city, alien teams discovered a massive underground chamber filled with human records. At first it looked like a library, but as the explorers moved deeper, the walls began to glow. Holograms filled the chamber, showing humans standing tall and proud, speaking words in their old tongue. The aliens could not understand all the language, but they felt the weight of it. The holograms showed scenes of war, exploration, and rebuilding. They showed humans refusing to surrender, even when everything was against them. One scene showed a human leader standing before a crowd, saying words the translation system barely captured. "We endure. We rise. We are never gone." The aliens shivered. Even after centuries of silence, the humans' presence was strong in those recordings. It was as if their spirits had been left behind in the machines, echoing forever. One soldier whispered, "They feel alive." The commander snapped at him. "They are only recordings. Do not be weak," but even he could not completely hide his unease. Then came the greatest discovery of all. Beneath the crust, in tunnels deeper than any alien had gone before, a team uncovered what looked like a control chamber. The machines inside were vast, stretching across walls and ceilings, humming with power. Their lights flickered on the moment the aliens entered, as if recognizing intruders. At the center stood a console with strange symbols. The engineers approached carefully, trying to decode the system. But the moment they touched it, the entire chamber came alive. Energy surged through the machines. Screens lit up showing maps of the solar system. Alarms rang. And then, across every channel in the Coalition fleet, a new signal played. It was human. A voice strong and clear despite the centuries filled the air. "Defense protocol activated." And with those words, the planet itself seemed to awaken. Satellites that had drifted silent in orbit suddenly powered on. Old defense stations hidden in the asteroid belt blinked back to life. Across Earth's surface, bunkers opened and more drones poured out. The ruins shook as massive war machines buried under rubble rose once more. The Coalition panicked. Their ships scrambled into the sky, forming defensive lines. Fighters were launched, scanning for threats, but the threat was already everywhere. The satellites fired beams of energy cutting through the dark. Automated warships hidden under the oceans for centuries rose to the surface and launched missiles into the sky. The planet was no longer silent, it was roaring. The commanders shouted orders trying to calm their forces. "Hold your ground. Destroy the machines." But the fear had already spread. Soldiers whispered that the humans had returned. Others swore they saw shadows in the ruins, figures moving with human shapes. Veyar stood in awe as the chaos unfolded. He felt no triumph, no greed, only a deep, chilling respect. "The humans planned this," he whispered. "They knew they might fall. So they built defenses not for themselves, but for their memory. For their return." The commander glared at him. "There will be no return. They are gone." But as the battle raged, Veyar's belief only grew stronger. The humans had not simply left ruins. They had left seeds waiting to grow again when the time was right. The fighting spread across the planet. In the skies, alien fleets clashed with automated human weapons. On the ground, drones hunted intruders with precision and skill. The Coalition was powerful, but they had awakened too much at once. Reports came in from every region. defensive machines attacking our outposts, old satellites destroying our scouts. We are losing ground. The commanders argued among themselves. Some demanded they retreat immediately. Others insisted they keep fighting. Greed and pride held them back, but the cost was rising with every hour. And then the most terrifying discovery was made. In one bunker, the aliens uncovered stasis pods once again. But these were different. They were not broken, not empty. They were sealed, glowing faintly with life support systems still active. The soldiers froze, staring at them. Shapes could be seen inside the pods, human shapes. They survived, one whispered. The commander roared, ordering the chamber sealed. This information does not leave this room. But it was too late. Rumors spread like fire across the fleet. The humans were not gone. They were here, sleeping, waiting. As night fell on Earth, the Coalition's fear grew unbearable. The signal still played, stronger than ever. You've just made the greatest mistake of your lives. No longer did it sound like a recording from the past. It felt alive, as if someone was speaking it right then, watching them from the shadows. And far above the planet, beyond the reach of their scanners, the stars themselves seemed to tremble, for in the darkness between worlds, ships stirred. They were not alien. Their shapes were sharp, their engines hidden, their weapons powerful. They were human. The Coalition had not only awakened machines, they had awakened the forgotten. Far above Earth, the alien fleet scrambled in chaos. Explosions ripped through the skies as automated drones and ancient defense systems fought back with frightening precision. The Coalition commanders had begun to realize the truth. They were no longer dealing with a lifeless planet, and the humans they believed extinct were far more than forgotten shadows. But the humans had not yet even arrived in full force. In the far reaches of the galaxy, where the light of Earth was a tiny flicker, humanity had been hiding, growing, and preparing. When Earth fell silent centuries ago, humans did not vanish. They left, traveling to distant star systems, building fleets and technologies far beyond what any alien race could imagine. They had learned from their failures, studied the galaxy, and waited patiently for the day they could return. That day had come. From hyperspace, hundreds of sleek human ships emerged like silver arrows. They moved with precision and speed, weaving through the planets and asteroid fields of the solar system. No alarms, no announcements, just sudden presence, sudden power. Their designs were elegant but deadly. Each ship carried weapons capable of precise strikes and systems that could counter any alien defense. Back on Earth, Vayar, the Orcs scholar, watched from a monitoring station. His eyes, crystalline and glowing, widened in astonishment. "They've returned," he whispered to himself. "They are here. The humans. They are here." The first encounters were quiet, almost like a whisper before a storm. A single alien patrol ship approached Earth, scanning the skies for remaining drones. Suddenly, a human fighter appeared out of nowhere, cloaked in the darkness of space. In moments, the patrol ship was disabled, its systems frozen. The human pilot communicated a single phrase, spoken in a voice older than any recording, yet sharper than any alarm. "Leave Earth, or face extinction." Panic spread through the Coalition fleet. Their leaders could no longer deny the truth. Humanity had returned, not as refugees, not as weak survivors, but as conquerors of their own fate, masters of technology, and strategists beyond imagination. On the ground, the machines continued their assault. Drones, satellites, and hidden defense systems cut through the alien troops with terrifying efficiency. But now, as human ships arrived, the battlefield shifted dramatically. The humans did not land immediately. Instead, they used precise strikes to disable alien ships in orbit, then targeted key weapons and command centers on the planet's surface. Their attacks were strategic, not reckless. Alien soldiers were thrown into confusion as structures they thought secure were dismantled from above. Vayar's sensors tracked the incoming fleet. His excitement was tempered by fear, knowing the humans had waited a long time to return and their patience had given them deadly precision. "They do not fight blindly," he said. "They strike only where it is necessary. They will not waste energy, and yet their presence is overwhelming." The commanders tried to coordinate counterattacks, but it was too late. Their communications were jammed, their ships destroyed or frozen by human technology, and their own fear became their enemy. Meanwhile, on the alien ships, The first direct encounters with human crews occurred. Boarding teams from the Coalition attempted to disable human vessels. They found the ships empty, yet systems operated with flawless coordination. Holographic messages appeared, showing humans giving orders with calm authority, as if the aliens themselves were already part of the plan. The humans spoke rarely at first. Their attacks were efficient, silent, and devastating. Alien leaders whispered to each other, fearing the legends of human ingenuity were true. Every tactic they had used against other species failed against humans. Every prediction of behavior was wrong. Humans acted in ways that no one could anticipate. Veyar's heart, though human emotions were foreign to him, raced. He felt awe, fear, and something like respect. Humans were alive, but more than alive, they were unstoppable. On the planet, the surviving alien troops tried to regroup. The machines that had awakened in Part 3 fought alongside the humans without hesitation. It was as if the humans had linked with their own technology across centuries, commanding it from afar. Drones that had been resting for hundreds of years now operated with new efficiency, striking alien positions precisely and mercilessly. One alien commander, desperate, attempted to negotiate. "We did not mean harm," he broadcast. "We only sought resources. Please stop this conflict." The human response was clear, delivered in a calm and unwavering voice. "Earth is ours. You should have left centuries ago." There was no room for debate, no chance for compromise. The humans had returned, and they were not forgiving. In the orbit above Earth, the battle escalated. Alien ships were destroyed in numbers far greater than their pilots expected. Massive human vessels, armed with energy cannons and rapid defensive shields, cut through the Coalition's formations. Every ship lost left the remaining forces more confused and terrified. The humans did not speak of conquest. They spoke only of defense, reclaiming what had always been theirs. Yet their actions were enough to make the alien fleets tremble. Entire systems in the Coalition's fleet were paralyzed with fear. The once confident commanders now realized the enormity of their mistake. "This cannot be," one shouted. "They were extinct. How can they exist like this?" Veyar shook his head slowly. "They were never extinct. They simply planned. They survived in silence, in waiting, in preparation, and now they have returned." On the surface, alien soldiers tried to retreat, but the human forces were everywhere. Precision strikes took out transport systems, weapons depots, and supply lines. Humans moved like shadows, always appearing where they were needed most, never wasting resources. Machines that had been dormant for centuries were activated under human control, creating a synchronized attack that alien forces could not counter. Then, the humans began to land, not in reckless numbers but in controlled, precise formations. Ships touched the ruined city's surfaces and troops disembarked. They were clad in advanced armor, equipped with weapons beyond the understanding of the aliens. They moved with confidence and purpose, reclaiming territory quickly and efficiently. When they encountered alien forces on the ground, they did not hesitate. The humans struck with speed and precision, neutralizing threats before the aliens could react. Entire squads were disarmed without a single human casualty. Veyar watched, awestruck. "They are not just powerful," he said quietly. "They are perfect in strategy, every move calculated, every reaction predicted." Even the commanders of the Coalition began to admit in private what they had long feared. The humans had become something more than their enemies had expected. Some of the alien soldiers tried to flee into space, hoping their faster ships could escape the human fleet. But the humans had anticipated this. Sensors reached beyond the planet, tracking every ship. Ships that tried to jump to hyperspace were intercepted before they could leave. It was impossible to hide. Impossible to escape. By the end of the first day of the humans' return, the Coalition was in disarray. Ships were destroyed, commanders were captured or killed, and alien soldiers were surrendering in unprecedented numbers. Earth, once seen as a ruined planet, had become a fortress. Humans moved through it as if it were alive, a planet fully awakened under their control. Veyar finally understood the meaning behind the ancient warning. "You've just made the greatest mistake of your lives." It was not just a threat. It was a prophecy. The aliens had underestimated humans, assumed they were weak, and acted on greed. Now that mistake had been revealed in full. The human voice rang across every channel in the Coalition fleet. "We do not forget. We do not forgive. We do not vanish. This is our home. Leave or face the consequences. The galaxy was watching, but for the first time in centuries, humans had returned not as prey, not as refugees, not as a dying race. They had returned as a force to be reckoned with, unstoppable and united. And Earth, the once silent world, was no longer quiet. It had awakened with its people. The war was far from over, but one truth had become clear. Humanity had returned, and the mistakes of the past would not be repeated. The sky above Earth burned with the light of 1,000 starships. Alien fleets that had once seen humanity as weak were now scattered, broken, and terrified. On the ground, humans moved with confidence, reclaiming what had always belonged to them. Every building, every ruined street, every ancient machine that had been waiting centuries now answered to human command. Vayar, the Orcs scholar, stood at a monitoring station, unable to take his eyes off the screens. He had watched humanity awaken from the shadows, watched them strike with intelligence and precision, and watched the coalition crumble under the weight of their own mistakes. He could hardly believe what he was seeing. "They are perfect," he whispered. His voice trembled. "Every move, every decision. They do not just fight, they dominate." The human fleets did not waste time. Those alien forces who had not fled into hyperspace or surrendered were captured quickly. Their ships were boarded, their leaders held in secure containment units. Yet the humans did not act with cruelty. Every prisoner was treated with fairness, with clear rules and order. It was not vengeance. It was control. From the heart of the human fleet, a message began to broadcast across every frequency. It reached the surviving coalition ships, the observers in distant systems, and even the colonies that had long forgotten Earth. The voice was calm, firm and resolute, echoing across the galaxy. "We do not forget. We do not forgive. We do not vanish. To those who believed us broken, you've just made the greatest mistake of your lives." The words sent chills through alien commanders. No one dared respond. The legend of humanity had become reality. A species that the galaxy had thought extinct now stood alive, united and unmatched in strength and strategy. In orbit above Earth, human ships formed a protective barrier, shields interlocking like a network of light. Any attempt to escape by the alien forces was met with immediate interception. Missiles, energy beams, and advanced tracking systems ensured that no ship could flee. The humans had anticipated every possible move. On the planet's surface, humans restored control over the automated defense systems that had awakened in Part 3. Drones, ancient war machines, and hidden bunkers now operated under human command. The coalition soldiers realized too late that Earth itself had become a fortress. It was alive with human presence, coordinated and unyielding. Vayar observed as humans moved through the ruins. They did not rush. They did not panic. They walked as if the planet itself obeyed them. Cities long silent now hummed with activity as machines repaired structures and cleared debris. Humans rebuilt what was necessary, using technology that even the alien coalition could not fully understand. One young officer, barely old enough to understand the scope of what was happening, whispered to his comrades, "They're not just returning, they're reclaiming everything, even history itself." Beyond Earth, across the galaxy, every species watched the unfolding events. The transmission from the human fleet played repeatedly, "We have returned. We are not weak. We are not gone. And we will never allow our mistakes to repeat." For centuries, humans had been underestimated. For centuries, the galaxy had assumed that greed, war, and destruction had ended them. But the humans' return proved that the species was more than just flesh and bone. Humanity was resilience, intelligence, and creativity made flesh. It was a species that could fall, rise, adapt, and strike back stronger than ever. Among the aliens, fear spread like wildfire. Reports came in from fleets in nearby systems. Humans have mobilized against our outposts. Entire stations have been disabled without casualties to them. Our strategies fail. They predict our every move. Even those who had never seen Earth in its prime realized the truth. Humans were not simply survivors. Humans were unstoppable. Back on Earth, humans gathered the captured coalition leaders in a central assembly. The planet, scarred and battered from centuries of neglect and war, now stood as a symbol of their endurance. Humans did not speak of revenge or hatred. Instead, they demonstrated authority and wisdom, showing the galaxy what it meant to survive against all odds. Veyar observed quietly, awestruck. For the first time in his life, he felt the weight of history, not as an observer, but as a witness to a species that had rewritten its destiny. The human spokesperson addressed the prisoners, their voice calm but commanding. "We have returned to claim what is ours. We do not seek needless war, but we will not allow our home to be taken. You were warned, yet you acted with greed and arrogance. Now you face the consequence of underestimating humanity. Learn from this. Remember that a species capable of survival, adaptation, and ingenuity cannot be erased." The leaders listened in silence, knowing that words could not fully express the power before them. Humans had returned not as conquerors in the traditional sense, but as a force that demanded respect. Their authority was absolute yet just. Even after the battle, humans continued to broadcast across the galaxy. The message was simple yet powerful. To all who hear this, understand our message. Humanity is not a fleeting species. We endure, we adapt, we rise. To those who would challenge us, know this: Earth is ours and the galaxy will remember. We do not vanish. We do not forgive ignorance. We act, and we act wisely. Across thousands of light years, civilizations listened. Many began preparations, unsure of how to engage a species that had returned stronger than anyone could imagine. Traders, explorers, and scholars all recorded the words, knowing that history had changed. The humans were no longer part of a legend. They were the present and the future. Veyar reflected on everything he had witnessed. From the first whispers of the signal in Part 1 to the overwhelming return of humanity, he realized that humans were more than just survivors. They were the embodiment of persistence and intelligence. He had studied countless species, seen many empires rise and fall, yet nothing could compare to what humans had achieved. "They are extraordinary," he whispered. His voice was filled with awe and humility. The galaxy underestimated them, and now the galaxy will never forget. Even the remaining alien commanders who had surrendered were forced to acknowledge this truth. They had made a mistake centuries ago, believing humans to be extinct and weak. That mistake had cost them everything. The humans' final act was to secure Earth and its orbiting stations. They repaired ancient systems, reactivated satellites, and ensured that no intruder could ever threaten their planet again without warning. Then from their flagship they sent one last universal message. "We have returned to the stars not as a species to be erased, but as a species to be remembered." Let this be a lesson. Humanity endures. Humanity adapts. Humanity prevails. And to those who doubt us, your mistake was underestimating us. Remember it well. The galaxy fell silent. It was a silence born not of peace, but of realization. The humans were back, fully awakened, and the universe now understood what it had failed to predict. They were intelligent, resilient, and united in a way no species could easily challenge. On Earth, humans looked up at the stars not with fear, but with quiet confidence. The ruins of the past had been transformed into the strength of the present, and somewhere deep within the planet and across distant fleets, signals pulsed quietly, ready for the next challenge, for the next threat, for the next step in humanity's journey across the stars. Veyar, standing among them, finally understood what it meant to witness history. Humans were more than survivors. They were legends made real, a species whose story could not be forgotten, whose signal would echo forever. And the final truth echoed across the galaxy, louder than any battle, stronger than any weapon. You've just made the greatest mistake of your lives. Humanity had returned. The galaxy had learned its lesson, and the stars would never be the same again.